let's welcome in the man himself, the author and subject of the new book, Marathon Man, My 26.2-Mile Journey from Unknown Grad Student to the Top of the Running World, Bill Rodgers. And, Bill, it's certainly an honor to talk to you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Steve, thank you very much for having me on your show.
Well, it's a pleasure. I mean, like I was saying, I'm a little younger than you, not by a whole lot, but when I was growing up, it was, I mean, Bill Rodgers was running. Bill Rodgers was the winner of the marathon all the time. Bill Rodgers was the sport. So before we get to the book, let me ask you maybe the last question first, and we're also going to talk about running for cover, something that you're involved in for melanoma victims of melanoma and how to prevent melanoma skin cancer and other cancers. But are we going to see another dominant American marathon runner? Are we going to tune in one day to the New York City Marathon and the winner is going to be from America and not from somewhere on another continent?
Yeah, I think that will happen. It could happen at Boston in Patriots Day, and because our Olympians are there from the London Olympic Games. At least 4 of the 6 are there. So yeah, we are still one of the marathon powers in the world. Ethiopians and Kenyans are dominating on a national basis around the world, but the Americans and the Japanese and some Russian runners, they're also there. And we have a long record of success, and there's always new talent. And with coaches like Alberto Salazar helping develop these new young athletes, we've always had success in the marathon. And whether it was Dina Castor in the Athens Olympic Games, which she took a bronze medal, following in Joan Benoit Samuelson's footsteps years before. But there's only a few of these medals. To win the big city marathons is very tough, though, because everything changed when prize money came in.
And how so? I mean, why didn't that motivate more Americans, youngsters or whatever, to train and become champions following in your footsteps? Why did the prize money, motivate to maybe people in other countries more so than our own athletes?
I think it's an economic thing, Steve. And when you take a look at the per capita income, some of the athletes who are doing the best in the world are maybe $1,000, $1,500 a year, and then you have a chance to win $150,000 by winning the Boston Marathon or Berlin or London or New York City. You're very wealthy in your home country, but if an American wins, yes, it's a lot of money, but it's not perhaps a life-defining moment. And there's so many careers and job opportunities for Americans, I think, comparatively speaking, compared to some other countries. So that's a factor. But since USA Track and Field developed our marathon and distance running programs out in California, we've had a lot of success. Great runners like Meb Keflezighi, Dathan Ritzenhein, Shalane Flanagan, Kara Goucher, Ryan Hall, Abdi Abdirahman. We keep producing the great runners. We have a very good high school and collegiate system.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. But of course, it would be nice to see us take some of the marathons, especially the Boston and the New York again. And talking about the Boston, the Patriots Day is coming up on April 15th, tax day, of course, but it's just a couple of weeks away. You back, of course, in 1975 on Patriots Day. An unknown, a grad student, I mean, someone who had trained, someone who had, loved running and you trained very hard at times, even in the 60s. But you shocked everybody and came from nowhere and won that marathon. Of course, then everything changed, and then you became the dominant figure in the sport. When you look back on that, boy, I mean, it was so long ago, and what do you think when you look back on how you accomplished that, as you say, your journey from unknown grad student to the top of the running world?
It's really interesting. There was a fellow named Frank Shorter.
Sure, absolutely.
Olympic gold medalist for the United States in Munich, Germany, and also took a medal in Montreal Olympic Games, and definitely one of the greatest marathoners of all time. He was the fellow we were all aiming for. Steve Prefontaine was one of his rivals. But so I kind of came up in a more low-key system at Wesleyan University, but I had a teammate there who won the Boston Marathon named Amby Burfoot. It was his dream to win Boston, as no American had won it in about 10 years, and he won it in '68. And I still remembered his drive, and his passion. So for a while I lost that when I left college, Steve, because at that time there weren't many running clubs. But when I went to Boston, I moved to Boston looking for a job, I saw the Boston Marathon. and that changed everything. I saw Jeff Galloway, my old Wesleyan teammate, finish. I later heard he had become an Olympian. I said, wait a second, I used to run with these guys who were my teammates. I'm going to try this.
Yeah, no, and try it. You did, and very successfully. What was the highlight? I mean, was the first one the highlight? You know, I asked this of Stanley Cup champions who were fortunate enough to win multiple, or World Series champions, or managers. We're gonna have Tony La Russa on, oddly enough, in an hour. We're not a sports show per se, but we're gonna ask him about that. He went out on top after winning another World Championship with the Cardinals. But when you look back as an athlete with all the great success you had, is it that first one? Is it the first Patriots Day Boston Marathon, or was it the first New York City Marathon, or maybe it was your last one? I don't know.
You know, things vary. Winning Boston in '75, which is part of the book Marathon Man, was my focus. I had done okay in some races, but that was my third Boston. I dropped out of my first marathon. I thought I was not very good in this sport. It took me a few years to really learn to pace myself and get used to the weather, but I lived in the area. And I joined a team called Great Boston Track Club, coached by Coach Billy Squires, to this day one of our country's great marathon coaches. I had great teammates, people like Greg Meyer and Randy Thomas, Bobby Hodge, folks who were aiming for the World Championships teams. In other words, we all pushed ourselves, Steve, but we had this great support and focus from Coach Squires, as he was a former miler from Notre Dame. But I think it's partly the New England connection. You know, Amby Burfoot. Before him was Johnny Kelly, the younger, his coach.
Right.
Before him was Clarence DeMar and Johnny Kelly, Joan Benoit Samuelson. So there was a long connection there for Boston. But being able to go to New York City for the first 5-borough New York City race meant so much to me, because I ran in the Olympic marathon and I failed there. I did terrible. So that was a chance to do my best.
Right. And so you're telling me that was the one that you look back on most fondly, I guess.
Yes, because once I won that race, Steve, I got invited to other races, and suddenly the next year was the Olympic Games. And I never thought of such a thing, you know, and suddenly there was a chance.
We're talking to Bill Rodgers, and he is the author of, and as I said, the subject of Marathon Man, and just a great read, an inspirational story. What a great story. And now, as we all get older, Bill, and I think you're 65, if I'm not mistaken, you're going to serve as honorary team captain of the Melanoma Foundation of New England marathon team. It's running for cover, and they're going to run in the marathon on Patriots Day, which, as I said, is 2 weeks away, up in your neck of the woods in Boston. And you know, melanoma is something everybody's got to be checked for. I know I'm checked for it, and make sure my son's checked for it. And you know, you spend so much time out in the sun running and training that you know, you're almost a natural potential victim for something like that.
Yeah, runners do have to be careful. You're absolutely right. And my grandfather actually passed away from melanoma, and back in the 70s. That's why I wanted to work with Running for Cover team, and why I support them so much. But I think we're all in this together in the fight against cancer, and I think that's one of the big changes in the sport. In the past, there weren't many women there. There was no prize money. Today, women are there, there's prize money, but also you can strike a blow. You know, you can raise money for these different organizations.
Sure, using your name and your pull. Let me ask you one other thing. What the prize money, is it equal for the men and the women?
Yes.
Okay. Now, marathon is a marathon, but you know what always got me? You know, tennis. They've equaled the prize money in tennis tournaments. Yet, of course, the men play 3 out of 5, and the women play 2 out of 3. I never found that to be quite right.
You know, it's very interesting, and sometimes in competitions in the World Cross Country, the women run a little bit shorter distance, but in the Olympic Games, they run the 5,000,
right,
the 10,000, the mile. You know, so our sport, more than any other, has this kind of equality effect to it.
Right. Yeah, because the distance is, for the most part, the same distance, same work, same load, so the money should be the same. But like I said, tennis always threw me. Any advice for kids? You know, what age is the right age, do you think, as we let you go here, Bill, to if a teenager or whatever thinks that they want to run track and field, but specifically they want to be a marathon runner or train for their first marathon, what's the appropriate age, do you think?
Steve, I never thought of running a marathon when I was younger. I began running when I was 15 with my brother Charlie and my best friend Jason. And we all ran together outside of Hartford, Connecticut, Newington, Connecticut, and we had a good coach. We just ran a couple of miles like every other day. We didn't run in the winters too much, and we didn't run in the summers too much, but we had a great coach. We had fun with our running, and that's kind of what I tried to say in Marathon Man, that it isn't the distance or anything. It's not the prize money. It's more about if you're having fun out there with your friends, you're going to do great.
Gotcha. All right, listen, it is an honor to talk to a legend, and Bill, you are a legend, whether you want to hear it or not. And I really thank you, and great luck with the book. And if you do come to New York, I've already told your publicist that I want you sitting right here next to me so we could chat some more. Okay?
This would be absolutely great. I'm hoping to be at New York City in November.
Great. All right, look forward to it, Bill. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Bye-bye. Bill Rodgers, ladies and gentlemen, track marathon legend, 4 Boston marathons, 4 New York marathons, inductee, of course, of the National Distance Running Hall of Fame, an Olympian, a bronze medal winner for the United States, world record holder in the 25K. It goes on and on and on. He is the marathon man, and I do urge you to pick up this book for a great read. And if you want to have if you have a kid who might be interested in gymnastics or track and field specifically, it's even a better read for you there. All right, folks, we're going to come back. We have some sound bites. Remember when Melissa Harris Perry of MSNBC referred to the fetus as this thing? The newly, not the fetus, but the fertilized egg. She held it up. It fell off her little model fetus. And she said, it costs so much money when this thing turns into a baby. Well, she did it again. She did it again. And we're going to let you, I'm going to fill you in on that and much, much more when the Steve Malzberg Show continues. Don't go away.